This is the Norris Group's Real Estate Investor Radio Show, the award-winning show dedicated to thought leaders shaping the real estate industry and local experts revealing their insider tips to succeed in an ever-changing real estate market. Hosted by author, investor, and hard money lender, Bruce Norris.
Welcome back. This is Joey Romero with the Norris Group. Thanks for joining us for part 2 of the Bruce and Aaron Norris interview. Hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.
So we're building all these houses in Florida. We've been working with people over the last couple of years. And when the coronavirus first hit early, we had to cancel the boot camp in March. We get back. Things are going fine. But there's certainly a lull in what we're building. And then we had a subcontractor file notice to owners on every single job. And just because of where we were positioned in the transaction, sort of coordinating things, we saw everything and we said, something's going on. The next 4 months, I've never worked as hard in my entire life. But long story short,
just you, huh?
No, I'm just. This is my my moment, Joey.
I'm sorry.
No, that you're right. That it was our entire team have worked really hard to stand in the way of a nightmare. So in short, the builder had been using funds for current projects to backfill projects that had not been fully funded. So we had funds control, we had the whole bit. And I've learned more about Florida lien rules in general, but it was really scary. Traveling back and forth 3 different times to Florida while all this was going down. What a journey. So before PropertyRadar, because that was in the mix, but first of all, Dad, I'm just super proud of how you handled things. We really didn't have a position in any of the transactions in process, except we were listed as a liaison to the funds control account. We were just monitoring to make sure that progress was being made when the funds were released. But when the funds were released, we didn't have access to bank accounts, and everything was closing out fine. At the very end of the project, you get unconditional lien releases against all the subs that had received final payment. What we didn't know until all this started going down is how many of the subcontractors weren't protecting themselves by following the lien laws. And wow.
Yeah.
So we literally stood between 50 projects, over 20 investors, and 38 contractors telling everybody today is the day where we decide to get through this together, or the only people making money will be attorneys. We're on the tail end of that.
Yeah, we held that meeting, with all the contractors, some of them armed at the hotel. I think it helped that people understood we were going to participate without having a legal responsibility to do so. I think that helped the audience of contractors be more reasonable. I think that was helpful for them to understand, okay, you guys are owed $2.5 million, and I've just attracted 500 back from the general contractor to solve it. But right now, that's the pile. I'm going to add personally to the pile. And, we kind of went from there to where I think that's where the negotiation happened. But one of the questions I asked them, I said, okay, we're talking about a $2.5 million problem. How many of you guys have the same attorney? So out of 38 contractors, there were no hands that went, mutually up. Okay, so the first thing an attorney's going to do is say, well, $2.5 million, where'd it go? Let's get an accountant. So now we got 38 attorneys and 38 accountants on your side. And you got over here a group of people who wrote a $200,000 check or so to get a house. Well, they're going to hire an attorney and they're going to have an accountant too. So 2 years from now, we'll all get this settled and you guys have lien rights. So you probably will get paid. But then I bet some judge is going to say 2 innocent rooms of people here. So you guys each pay your lawyer fees. And I bet you end up with far less than the offer you're about to get. We needed their cooperation, obviously, and they did cooperate to the tune of $850,000. They took off their bill, and the other people that were involved added some money, $10,000 a house to make it all work. But you know what? I think people understand this. When I heard of the problem, you and I went on the plane the next day, and I called almost everybody the night before. When I ran out of time, I called everyone else while we were waiting. Remember, we were in that waiting room to take off. everybody knew we had a problem, and everybody knew that you and I were flying out to get in front of it. And my mind went there instantly. I didn't think about the legal ramifications. What if we don't? That wasn't where I went. It ticked me off. I was just like, how dare you do this to people that trust me? It's one of those times where you're just not going to let something bad happen. And so I'm very proud. And obviously all the people that helped you, we all worked so many hours because we had to unearth what was really owed. And we had to, how many thousands of papers had to get signed? And,
over
crazy.
Well, I think that's what I was not prepared for. And I only had a little over 2.5 weeks before that meeting with all the contractors. And I was literally crunching paper because everyone's got to realize it was coronavirus time. And I landed in Florida and I started calling the subcontractors that had filed notice to owners. I was like, I need to talk to you today. They're like, my contract isn't with you. I don't know who you are. And I'm like, okay, what do you need from me to be able to talk to you? I'm going to need this 30-day notice. I'm like, nope, don't have time. I need to talk to you today. So our first trip out there was me calling every single one of the subcontractors and letting them, being upfront, transparent with them, knowing that there were other projects going on in the background probably as well that we had no control over, but I needed their undivided attention. And I wanted to know really what they were owed. So on every single house, not everyone had 38 contractors and they were in different stages, but they were all moving too.
But 38 is where we ended up. 3 weeks is what you had for the contractors that you knew about. And then a week before the meeting, we got about a dozen more.
Yeah. So I have this spreadsheet of 50 houses down one side and along the top 38 contractors.
It's 63, by the way.
Oh, it's 60. Well, those have some calculation fields. Well, and you mean the houses? Oh yeah, we gave them more houses just to check. Yeah. That every field in that table sometimes had, you were looking at 30 invoices just for one field and checking with the builder, with the subcontractor, and, rushing. And man, you find out these small businesses are not necessarily prepared for something like this as well. A lot of these are small businesses. They're not prepared to have this conversation. They're in-house accounting. Everything's messy. So what we accomplished in that amount of time was also, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And when you're touching an invoice and it means somebody's livelihood and coronavirus is going on, man, it was stressful, but it was also emotional. So
crazy.
Every day we were sending out emails to every single sub. This is what was accomplished today. This is what we need. And then we'd follow it up with the investors. Like 100 emails were going out every day. I don't know what we would have done if you hadn't built the trust. Like all of our investors protected our time. They didn't. You always talk about what's the saying about the cost of trust?
Yeah, Stephen Covey, low cost of high trust.
Yeah, we would have never have gotten through it if the investors didn't trust us to get us through it.
That's right. We never got one phone call from an attorney, from somebody that was an investor that was involved in the house, ever.
No, all the attorneys that are involved, because out there, the title attorneys, they're like, we've never seen anything like this. I'm like, hopefully you never do it again, because this has been terrible.
But I think what they meant is they never seen anybody stand up and pay somebody what they viewed as somebody else's bill to solve a problem that wasn't theirs. There was a piece of that made me really happy, to be honest with you, because I just knew it was the right thing to do. It's one of the proudest moments for our company. So I'm proud that we did it. Now we're on the tail end of it. By the end of August, we'll be probably down to less than 10 houses that have work that needs to be done. So,
well, it's because of the way the Norris Group, you and Aaron reacted, why these houses are being finished. Because a lot of these contractors that bought so much goodwill with them that they're like, okay, we'll finish your houses.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Joey. That is true. They're able to differentiate what was done to them by the general contractor and us, and that's been very helpful, because you're right that we get a different feel from them, that they're willing to help because we're involved in this address, that type of thing. Aaron, I don't want to get off track on something you said about goal setting. So kind of go back to that, where you were headed to that with that.
Well, I was in Florida, and Florida's been my baby for the last 2 years. But what's funny is after March, my biggest part, heavy lifting, because hard money day to day, was marketing, it was content creation. That was one of the things I typically am busy with. But then on the Florida side, it was just the book and the research and setting up the systems. And Joey and Donna do just a great job. Joey's so great with customers. And I got a note from Sean. He was looking for help to recruit a specific position. And I've known Sean for 10 years, and it was a position that I have never been interested in before, but I told him what was going on, that I was sort of thinking about a challenge, and, that's what happened. I reached out. I get to stay co-owner of the Norris Group in the background, and I'm on an adventure of a lifetime, something that I've always wanted to do. Tech is my passion. And this position, I get to basically help Main Street investors, mortgage professionals, realtors, contractors, and home services company stay in business.
I mean, you and I had that conversation. You told me that Sean had reached out and asked you for referrals.
Yeah, and he wasn't expecting me to be interested.
You and I had that conversation. I said, why don't you tell him that you're interested? Because I thought it was a really cool opportunity for you. And I understood that the Norris Group would be just fine, because it's at that point that I made you 50% owner of the company, because I realized, just like the show The Profit, which was one of my favorite shows on TV, there's a gentleman named Lamonis who goes in and helps businesses get better, get more efficient, do the right thing. And you've done that for the Norris Group. You brought us into the tech world, and, we went from black and white to full color, not only in our documents, but also just in our processes. I know that you can monitor that and do that without being anywhere close to full time. And so I thought, why not? Because I always thought you and Sean would be a good pairing. I think that would be lights out, an amazing experience for you. So I wanted that for you. So what's interesting about this, it may appear on the outside, wow, a lot of stuff's going on with the Norris Group. Well, okay, we fully expect that over half our business will be in Florida. And that will come from loyal California investors making similar decisions as what we did. So I feel fine about being here and being able to monitor that process. So that's great. The California loan business, Craig and Robin and Rhonda are still there doing their thing. And Joey is, interacting with all the customers and talking to them about not only California loans, but also anything they want to do in Florida. So we don't have to sit there in California, although you are actually every day still at the Riverside office, because you have that flexibility. I think the Norris Group now has a new toy that's going to be extremely beneficial to our clients, and it'd be profitable as well.
Yeah, getting the chance to learn. I've respected Sean for a really long time, and I've been a big fan of his product. It was funny when we first started chatting. I'm like, Sean, do you know that I use your data when I present? He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So I showed him why, just the iBuyer data that I had been following for the last couple of years. And I told him why I was using it and why I thought it was important for investors to understand. Data speaks to me. I think that's one of the reasons that I've always enjoyed working with you, having that Wall Street experience early on in my career. That's all I did on Wall Street was create these merger and acquisitions. And it was about making something visual, communicating value, making something complex, powerful. And so I love that. So now I get to do that nationwide. That's pretty fun.
If data's the music, then the Excel spreadsheet, I think, for you is your piano. And I've seen you make Excel spreadsheets, like sing these beautiful songs in the past 3 years that I've been here.
Well, thank you, and it's fun. So now having public records access to, somebody told me online, they're like, "Oh man, I'm so jealous. You have access to so many records." I'm like, it's so true. It's finding meaning in all of it is what's going to be interesting and making me think outside the box and more nationwide. and not just California. So,
Well, it's also going to give me a lot of access to data in Florida. And you and I had already talked about a business model that I intend to pursue in Florida that I would have never had thought of because of the data. The specificity of the data. I can now search for a very certain type of buyer, a certain type of age that owns a certain type of house and has owned it for a certain length of time, and create a really cool niche. So I'm excited about that.
yeah, what's funny is that the Norris Group has been a client of PropertyRadar for a number of years. It's a very robust program. It's clearly not meant for beginners. They are typically very overwhelmed, and there's a high churn when that happens. But 6 years ago, I got on the phone call with Kim Bennett. She's, the head customer service awesomeness lady. And she's, in 15 minutes, said, this is how you get the leads that you want. And there's the automation that delivers it to your email every day. There you go. I never log in. So it was funny when Sean and I first started having the conversation, I found out all these other layers of data that they had started to incorporate. So it's not just property characteristics, loan data, it's also demographics on the people behind the property. So that's why what's interesting is I won't just be talking to the real estate investor crowd, but the mortgage crowd, property managers, home services like solar, anybody who needs consistent leads in their business, and then being able to tailor their advertising. It's so important, because you can do a farm. You would typically go to the title company and say, hey, I need non-owner occupants in 92501, and they'll give you a big list, but it's just, you're going to blow a lot of your marketing dollar being too broad, when on top of that, I'm like, with a tool like PropertyRadar, I'd like to look at owners that have owned the property, non-owner occupants. I want to know the ones that have held for 25 years, that have probably fully depreciated. I want to have them over the age of 60. You're looking at all this information and hitting that same person 7 times instead of just one. That's rad. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Technology too. I think one of the things I'm getting inspired the most about is, PropertyRadar has some pretty amazing partners. So delving into different kinds of marketing opportunities that require data, and being careful with that data. So text message marketing, email marketing, there's so many different ways to slice and dice these days. And now you can do it in just a really hyper-localized list. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and all that you'll bring to the Norris Group, and we'll keep up with everything.
Yeah, well, I'm hanging all my licensing here.
We would never do on our own.
Yeah, I'm hanging all my licensing here. I think that's part of why Sean liked that I have the background in the realtor, investor, and the lending space, as I can speak the language, because it's very overwhelming. There's a lot to learn at a technology company and where they're going. So they're just about to head into beta nationwide. I know some people that we know are definitely on that list. And after that, they're finally going to go national. The last time I bought a list for another market outside of California, it cost me $3,000 for a list. And as soon as you buy a list, it's outdated. So I've been begging Sean to go into other states for years, specifically Florida, and it's under $100 a month. It's when you were, I found this great photo, by the way, in my presentation, where it's like a 1980s car and an artist has superimposed a Thomas Guide map on the back. I'm like, oh my God, it's my childhood. I grew up with the Thomas Guide in the back seat. What did it look like back in the day? You were getting faxes of available inventory and the Thomas Guide. Those were your 2 tools, right?
Well, the Thomas Guide I used to go see 400 houses. I mean, literally. So, I was copying pages of that so I could sequentially put out the properties. I'd go see 30 to 50 properties a day so I could get done with seeing the auction. But the fax stuff, that came from dealing with an agent who was attached to the MLS. And so we just set up a sequence to say, okay, 3 times a day, I want to see anything that's brand new with this criteria. And man, in the 90s, we bought a lot of properties from Andrea Jennings just doing exactly that.
Well, back to the goal writing, when the PropertyRadar thing sort of fell into place, and I updated our network. I think some people didn't read the whole thing, and they didn't understand that I'd still be in the background and actually parked right here at the Norris Group. So in one fell swoop, because of coronavirus, a lot of unfortunate things happen, I think it made us stronger. We're still building in Florida. We're talking to a new builder. We've created a new process that will hopefully never have us. It'd be very difficult to have the same issues that we had. But all three of my goals happen in one fell swoop. Do you still write goals, Dad?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, here I am in a new state, and we already know one of them. When I thought about the combination of the data that you guys were going to be able to provide, yeah, I kind of set a goal to buy 100 houses a year using that one set of data.
You're supposed to be relaxing.
Well, it will be relaxing because I'm only going to go after people that own 50 or more of what I'm after.
Crack me up.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'll be able to talk to, all I have to do is successfully close 2 people to have a pile of stuff. That shouldn't be too hard.
No problem.
I'm on my way.
Well, anyway, that's what that data allowed me to think of. No, I don't want to sit there and have a day-to-day, all-day business. But just in translating what I'd like to do, I know people can get tired of property management. I know a lot of people have stuff they've owned for a long time and they've depreciated to zero. They might rather get a monthly check of a mortgage than a rent check.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to become very knowledgeable in the tax ramifications of what I'm about to suggest. And I can certainly get invited to speak in front of large groups of seniors. So I think it's going to be fun. I really do.
A new toy on top of building.
I think it's going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, hopefully we've tried to calm the fears of people that are thinking the Norris Group's going anywhere. We're not. We've added some new toys. And we basically, getting back to the profit, when Lamona shows up to a business and makes the changes and the people implement them, he's a partner in that business and probably the most important person attached to the business. And he's not there every day or every week or even maybe every month, but he's set a process that works. And that's exactly what I thought about when I thought that you could go to work with Sean, as long as Sean knew you were still going to have your fingers in the pie and have an ownership interest in the Norris Group. You could definitely control what needs to be controlled from a distance even, and still make sure the Norris Group is on the right track with the most current things. And no one else at our company can do that. No one can.
It's a team effort.
So
and I'm parked here. I'm loving it. We're about to launch a new web portal that actually we've been working on for a year. So those of you in the web portal, hopefully by the time you even hear this, it will have rolled out. We have so much content, Dad. It's probably over 80 hours in that portal at this time. It's amazing. So I'm hoping you'll be able to have some time to review some of the stuff. It's probably time for a refresh for some of the stuff, and some of what I'm learning. I'm getting more dangerous with data. I can't wait to sort of redo some of the marketing things to help investors. So I'm excited about the California education still.
That's the other thing is you added pieces along the way, the ADUs and on and on. I mean, there's the new stuff that's entered into that web portal. A lot of it you followed, all the laws, and even talked to the people that created the legislation. So that's been very invaluable because real estate investing is definitely a moving target.
Especially these days. So we've got the portal that's coming up. We are working on a boot camp for the people that had to cancel. We just sent out a survey, so we'll probably go out next month. It'll probably be on a weekend. So, the team has already redone the book for the most part. We're talking to this new builder. And then I Survive Real Estate. That is also in the works, and we're hoping to send out our digital version. We obviously can't meet in person, but we're going to change the format a little bit. We just have to tell the people who we are inviting to the new format first.
I hope we do a Zoom meeting so everybody could have like tuxedos with like shorts on underneath or pajama pants.
Fancy tops only. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, so it's going to be
funny you say that. The first TV interview I did, the guy had a suit, coat on and a tie, and he had a pair of shorts on. I wasn't ready for that one.
Well, it is going to be a busy rest of the year. It's going to be interesting. You're going to be one of those people that get experience of working remote. So we'll have to touch base every once in a while and let everybody know how you're feeling about it.
That's one of the things too. The radio show, that's not going away either.
No.
And through we're going to be doing this on a go forward basis with all the guests. So we're not going to skip a beat there.
No, not at all. And Aaron's got, again, he set me up with stuff I don't understand yet, but I'm willing to make sure I do and get caught up. But as far as looking at data, there's a lot of interesting people that Joey is reaching out to that we're going to speak to. So that's not changing at all.
Yeah, all this stuff is really making speaking from afar not difficult. So if anything, you could get busier if you wanted to, but I think
it's become an acceptable format. It's become necessary, but it's also become acceptable. One thing Doug Duncan said is that how much he traveled typically would probably not happen as much going forward because maybe it's not necessary. He can do interviews in Zoom, and instead of flying all night to have a 1 hour interview or a half hour interview or something, it just becomes more efficient.
Yeah, I Survived Real Estate might be one of those things that forever goes digital depending on the future and what happens because, a lot of the guests that we've had over the years, it's a huge ask. I don't know if people fully appreciate the Norris Group. We're a small company based out of Southern California. Have Zillow, the chief economist of Fannie Mae. It's just the heads of major national associations. It's been a little bit of a coup. And I know one year we had Pat Combs from the National Association of Realtors. She said that she gave up 300 days of traveling one year when she was president of the National Association of Realtors. It's crazy.
It's turned into some of these folks' favorite event to go to too.
That's true. So maybe they would still be willing to do it. I will miss being at the Nixon Library this year, but I think now more than ever, the nonprofits that we work with to raise money too, we have to do it. I Survived Real Estate, how apropos. We launched this in 2008 when
I re-survived
Real Estate. Yeah. It just seems like an appropriate year that we give back in a meaningful way. So anyway.
So get your checks out.
That's a good point, Aaron. That actually is a really good point.
Well, we're building out the content now. We will be reaching out to, Joey is taking the lead. We'll be reaching out to our guests. The format is going to change this year, and I think it will be really helpful. You can already see the guests that Joey's been booking on the radio show that are typically on the panel. So we've already had Sean O'Toole and Doug Duncan, and it's, the hour shows. So it's actually more time with each guest. We'll keep doing that. Plugging away. We're at that.
Right.
We're at that 50-minute mark, so it's time. So,
by the way, we turned your office into a yoga den.
Surprise! No time wasted.
Well, it looked clean for the first time in 20 years. So
exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, have fun unpacking this week, and we'll bug you soon.
Okay. All right. You guys take care.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
For more information on hard money loans and upcoming events with the Norris Group, check out thenorrisgroup.com. For information on passive investing with trust deeds, visit tngtrustdeeds.com.
The Norris Group originates and services loans in California and Florida under California DRE License 012-19911, Florida Mortgage Lender License 1577, and NMLS License 1623669. For more information on hard money lending, go to thenorrisgroup.com and click the Hard Money tab.